Hey guys, Lolo here, and today I'm gonna be giving you some tips on how to goalkeep. This is gonna be on the fly video. I'm not gonna really put much effort into this, but as far as credibility goes, I was S tier in TSFL, and I was X class in TSFL as goalkeeper, and I was S tier in PRS as goalkeep. That was before the goalkeeping update. Goalkeeping is now a bit harder now that they nerfed it quite a bit, but it does still take into account the fundamentals of goalkeeping. So I'm going to start off with my first tip. When a player is in your box, you either fake rush him to getting that close shot, or you want to be just rushing him because you don't want him to getting as close as possible. But there is the risk of getting dribbled like that, so you do have to be cautious. But usually when they turn away from you, it means that they're gonna flick it over you, or at least try to get some space off, like right here. Just looking for that space, and you just gotta keep blocking him off so he doesn't have any space to do anything. Because as long as you're in his face, you're closing his angle. Right here, right, as you can see, as I get closer, my body blocks the goal more, as it would be if I were farther. Now you see these open spots, as you would be closer. So rushing is actually a good thing, but it does have its weaknesses, as you can get chipped, as you see all that space right here, right there. But if it's done wisely, it can be quite a rewarding thing to do when a player's in your box. Yeah, always be aware that if they're turning away, they're planning to do something. Don't just think they're turning away because they're scared of you. No, they're actually thinking about doing something else to you, and you gotta be aware that the striker's not gonna let you off easily just because you walked up to him. So yeah, right here, he's dribbling. I'm getting close. I'm already close enough. I make the save, and it's his error for letting me get that close. He should actually be chipping me in this scenario. There he goes. I did miss that. I am out of practice. And there he goes. He gets too close. Now, goalkeeping does have its own positioning. Whether you want to believe it or not, it also has its own positioning, as would a striker or a center back. Now the positions go like this. Blah, blah, blah. People right there. You gotta follow these positions. You gotta stay in the middle of your center mid, center back, striker. And also, how it works for the goalkeeper is, this is the box, right? You got the 20-yard box. Got the goal somewhere around here. And this is gonna be you. So, positioning as a goalkeeper, it all matters, because the better you close off the angle, the less they have to block and to score. Less space in the goal that you have to block. Basically here, a worst case scenario for an angle would be them coming straight at you from the front, because they have all of this open space right there. Now let me make this bigger actually, so you guys can see that better. So let's draw out the goal here. Let's just take a screenshot. Handy, very handy. Let me go over here, my second screen. Now I'm going to be pulling it up. Alright, so here we are. Perfectly centered, almost perfectly centered on the goal. Now, worst case scenario is you're in the middle and the attacker is coming from this way. What you don't want, because he's here in this angle, You sort of want to be being more aggressive because this is like a very dangerous angle. You have 2 exposed corners. You have 4 exposed corners. Since it's very easy to shoot in PRS, you just top bin it, you bottom bin it, you can do anything. You could even top it up over here because you might be distracted on these angles. But yeah, expect everything pretty much as a goalkeeper. But right here, you want to pretty much be pushing up when they're sort of getting into the box. You don't want to be giving them, if you know you can't save a shot, then you want to start rushing, sort of like, you know, they're getting into like a sort of danger zone for you. If you can save the ball here, but you can't save the ball here, that's when you want to be rushing. And always rush, always block shots with the X or whatever this button is for you guys. This is a lifesaver of a move right here. This pretty much blocks anything that you touch without tripping over the striker. As with a dive, you just knock his ass over. And never dive when you're rushing, because that's just recipe for disaster. You just get dribbled, because you know how I mentioned earlier, they always like pull back away from you, so you don't take it from them easily to do some move with the space. But making them back up is always a good thing, because there might always be a center back behind them. But moving on, positioning, you want to be around here like that. There's a sort of shape you want to take when you're like moving around, closing off angles. So example of closed off angles be like this. Right here would be good. It would block this angle. A good rule of thumb is, if you see yourself from this angle in the middle of the goal, you are perfectly positioned. So if you want a corner, block it like that, you're perfectly positioned there. Some guy over here, go like that, perfectly positioned there. And if they start walking over here, you just follow them like that. You always stay centered, basically. What the striker never wants to do is have you like this, because there's more stuff to save and it's easier to save like that. But yeah, always stay like this constantly, pretty much. Or if they're in the worst angle possible from in front of you, you have to sort of start closing that angle, so you close off those corners, you know. And you want to sort of be like, you want to have that reaction time up, because they might realize you're coming out and they might shoot immediately. You might want to try to save that, despite it actually being harder to save that from up close. It actually works out better for you, because when you're diving, you actually cover more space from its angle. It's like you see that you'd be covering all the way over here, to where if you were on the line, you would be only covering up to there. And also another weakness is you can barely cover that top corner with the new buffs and shit, nerfs. So yeah, so that's basic goalkeeping positioning. And yeah, you do want to be an option for your center backs. You want to be up here if the play's going on over here, but you always want to be aware on who's on the possession, because you will get sniped a lot. People will try to long shot you, but you always want to be an option for the center backs. They shouldn't have to dribble through people if they got no options. So yeah. Moving on. Another thing is how dives work. You might have one button set for dive, high dive. I have it set to E, but you might have it set to default. And how this works is, basically wherever you're going, that's where the dive will carry on to. So you high dive right, high dive left, pretty simple. You jump and high dive, it's a different animation, it goes higher. and even holding it for different times will give you different distances. So that also works with low dives. Low dives are actually pretty decent for saving mid shots at you that come straight at you, but you mostly want to be using those high dives if you're going for the corners for shots. Another thing is you can also catch shots while you're diving. So let's say you're doing a high top right high dive. This is a normal one, and this is a grabbing one. Right after diving, you want to press the button to grab the ball, either F or R. You can do either one, I don't care. Depends on the scenario. So yeah. Catching is really important because you don't always want to be like deflecting shots, because if you deflect a shot from here, from this corner like that, and basically what it's going to do is going to bounce off like that into the middle where a striker would be, but that you don't really have to worry about that much. What matters is you make that initial save, and it's the center back's job from then on to cancel out the striker. So yeah, this job takes a lot of practice. I can say this as a very high-ranked goalkeeper at once, and yeah, it's a lot of practice. It takes time. So yeah, just keep grinding. It might be boring, so you won't get much practice from a real match, but you will get a lot of practice from sitting in practice arena and playing with a friend. So yeah, you definitely want to give that a shot if you want to improve at goalkeeping. You don't want to use your matches to improve. You want to come to that practice pitch and actually work out your flaws like these gentlemen are doing over here. He seems to be practicing aimbot, because he is the legend of aimbot. Let's see if we can save this shot here. Pretty bad shot. Alright, see ya boys.